We have spent 20 minutes trying to create an intro, so let's just start the pod. Welcome back to the Talk Yours podcast. In this week's episode, we're gonna do a power rankings, and then we're gonna get into a bunch of stuff. The Ja Morant, Klay Thompson beef, Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs having a good year, the Raptors having an amazing year, the Clippers being awful per usual, and how they can fix it, will they fix it, all that kind of stuff. And we will talk about MPJ and his WNBA comments. But let's go ahead and start with the power rankings. That's gonna be what we're gonna be doing first. This week in the NBA, not too much has changed, but it's still been a little bit interesting. I'm going to go ahead and give my top 10. At number 10 in my power rankings, I have the Atlanta Hawks. Might be a little biased. Maybe they should have went down a couple spots. They only went 2-2, but they had some good losses. They lost to the Detroit Pistons and the Spurs, and then they beat the Pelicans and the Hornets. So 2 games you should definitely win, and then 2 games where it's okay if you lose. Overall, this season, 16th in offense, 13th in defense, 14th in net rating, almost living up to their mid standards that they always are. Jalen Johnson has been amazing, averaging this week 24, 10, and 9 with 2 steals and a block, shooting 61% true shooting. And really, it is like only 4 or 5 Hawks that are really contributing to winning. So I'm just going to, list some stat lines. Nickeil Alexander-Walker averaged 24 points per game this week, 4-4, 66% true shooting. Porzingis, he only played 2 games, but 23 points on 77% true shooting. And then Onyeka Okongwu averaging 19 points on 52, 47, 100 splits. The Hawks offense is rolling without Trae Young. And Dyson Daniels' steal record is still alive. Right now, he has 70 games straight with a steal, which is 4th in NBA history. At 3rd, Michael Jordan had 77, Alvin Robertson at 105, Chris Paul at 108. Overall, the Hawks have been kind of doing their thing. But Dyson, I would love for you to get this steals record. That's all I'm really caring about right now. As a Hawks fan, if you didn't know. At number 9, I have the San Antonio Spurs. They went 2-1 without Victor Wembanyama. Last week, I did not have them ranked. Because I didn't respect their wins. And now, them winning without Wemby, they're facing a little bit of competition. They beat the Hawks and they beat the Grizzlies at home. And then they lost to the Phoenix Suns, who are on a roll right now. Unfortunately, did not make my top 10. But overall, for the season, 8th in offense, 8th in defense, 7th in net rating. And De'Aaron Fox has returned, and he's back to his former Sacramento Kings self, averaging 24 points per game, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 65% true shooting. Keldon Johnson has been amazing. 19 points per game on 76% true shooting. And then David Jones-Garcia played amazing winning minutes against the Hawks. I never heard of him before this week. I still barely know who he is, but I do know he gave the Hawks some buckets. And just by the way, when the Spurs lost to the Phoenix Suns, their 237 game streak was snapped of games with 20 assists or more. 237, that is, I think, almost 3 seasons straight of 20 assists or more. It is by far the highest in NBA history of that kind of streak. I think the second largest, I don't know what team it was, but it was like 150. So unfortunately, that was broken. At number 8, I have the Miami Heat. They're up 2 from last week because I had them 10th last week. 4-0. They beat the Warriors. They beat the Mavs. They beat the Bulls. They beat the Sixers. Are any of those teams really good? No, but none of those teams, besides maybe the Mavs, are really bad. Overall, those are games that you should be winning, and they did. They are 12th in offense, but 4th in defense, 6th in net rating for the season. And overall, every Miami Heat player is playing great. Davion Mitchell, for the week, had a 28-2 assist-to-turnover ratio. Larson Pele, I think I said his name right. 25-5 assist-to-turnover ratio. Norman Powell's been playing like an all-star. 25 points per game this week, 71% true shooting. And then obviously, I can't forget, Tyler Hero returned last night and dropped an efficient 24 points. And then Khalil Ware. These last like 8 or 9 games, he's been killing it. But this week specifically, 17 and 16. 17 points, 16 rebounds per game. He's been great. And then when him and Bam are playing together, which by the way, yeah, Bam returned recently, they are 6-2. So that starting front court duo has been amazing, and the Heat are up. They're a legit team. At number 7, not the best week from the Cleveland Cavaliers. I have them down 1 from last week. They went 2-2. They beat the Pacers and Clippers at home, which you should do. And then they lost to the Raptors and the Rockets, which aren't bad losses. So it's not like they play terrible, but when other teams are playing really, really good, you kind of have to bring them down a little bit. Overall, for the season, 15th in offense, 6th in defense, 11th in net rating. And the only notable stat I really had for the Cavaliers is that Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, and Tomlin, I forget his first name, are like the only 3 guys who played all 4 games. Hunter's been missing games. Lonzo's been missing games. Jared Allen, Darius Garland, like every other Cavalier has been missing games. And that's kind of been who they have been all season. So hopefully they can stay healthy for once. At number 6, I have the Toronto Raptors. They are up 2 from last season, 4-0 on the week. They beat the Sixers away. And then they had 3 home games. They beat the Wizards, the Nets, and the Cavs. 2 of those games, obviously, you should win. And then they had 2 impressive wins. The Raptors have been amazing. 6th in offense for the season, 7th in defense, and they are the 5th best team in net rating for the season. The Toronto Raptors. The player I want to shout out from the Raptors this week was Jamal Sheed. Or Shed. I think it's Shed. 32 assists to only 3 turnovers. He has been handling the ball. He hasn't been shooting it that well, but when you have a role on the team, you stick to it and you become really, really good at it. He is a specialist, really good at that. And the Raptors, ever since Brandon Ingram was so pissed, he threw a glass bottle on the ground, effectively like hitting a ball boy and like making like Scotty Barnes clean it up because Ingram was not trying to clean it up. Ever since that moment, the Raptors are 8-0. So maybe Ingram being, a little baby about that help their momentum a ton. At number 5, 0 movement from last week. I have the Los Angeles Lakers. They went 2-0. They beat the Jazz. 1 home game, 1 away game. Overall for the season, they are midder than the Hawks. They are 14th in offense, 14th in defense, and 15th in net rating. So very mid. But Luka Doncic had an amazing week. 35, 8, 9, and 4 steals per game. Austin Reeves, 24 points per game. LeBron James returned, and even though he doesn't look like the regular LeBron, he did average 10 assists per game within those 2. And what's interesting about the Lakers is I didn't know this until this week. The Lakers are the best offense from 0 to 16 feet. I'm talking like 0 to 2. It's like 2 to 6, 6 to 10, 10 to 16. Every single one of those areas, the Lakers are the best team in the league. But they are the worst 3-point team in the league by a mile. They make I think they're like bottom 5 in percentage, and they have made the least 3-pointers out of any NBA team this season. I think LeBron was saying, and you were telling me this, Cam, that the Lakers will eventually, find that 3-point shot back. I don't know. They don't really have the personnel for that. But overall, Lakers 2-0, no movement there. At number 4, I did bring the Denver Nuggets down 1 spot from last week, even though they went 3-1. They beat the Pelicans, they beat the Rockets, and they beat the Grizzlies all away from Denver, and then lost to the Kings at home. 2nd in offense for the season, 11th in defense, and the 3rd best net rating team out of all NBA teams. The Nuggets were great, 3-1. I mean, you really can't beat that. Yes, they did lose to the Kings, and that was embarrassing. They have been going through some injuries, though. But overall, the top 4 players on the Nuggets, like points per game wise, have been killing it. Jokic is shooting 69% true shooting this week. Jamal Murray was 63. Peyton Watson was 71, averaging like 18 points per game. And then Cameron Johnson, after struggling for the beginning of the season and then getting hurt, these last 4 games, he shot 76% true shooting, going back to what we thought he would be, which is a very complimentary player to a superstar, like he kind of was with Devin Booker and Chris Paul for the Suns. Nuggets, we're at number 4. At number 3, I have the Houston Rockets up 1. So I pretty much swapped the Rockets and Nuggets. They went 2-1, and they did lose to the Nuggets at home, but they beat the Cavaliers and they beat the Suns, both away games. Very, very impressive. Overall in the NBA, they are 1st in offense, 5th in defense, and the 2nd best team with a net rating of 11.4, which is ridiculous. It's just they are not the number 1 team. The Rockets have been killing it. Amen Thompson for the week has taken that jump without KD playing last game. Amen Thompson had 28 points, and then his averages are 21, 8, 5, and 2 for the week on 54, 50, 100 splits. Yes, Amen Thompson, 54, 50, 100. Was he taking that many free throws, that many threes? No, but you know what? The fact that he's efficient from those spots is great. And then Reed Shepherd dropped like 24 points in that Nuggets loss. Like, honestly, the way that Reed Shepherd played, they should not have lost to the Nuggets, but they did. 15 points per game on 63% true shooting. And by the way, in Amen Thompson's career, when Amen Thompson drops 25 points or more in a game, the Rockets are 7-1. Pretty much meaning if Amen Thompson ever did take that superstar jump, yeah, the Rockets would be ridiculously good, especially because of how good Amen Thompson is at every other aspect besides scoring. But yeah, they're number 3. At number 2, no movement because they were my number 2 last week. We're going to Detroit Pistons, 3-0. They beat the Hawks. They beat the Bucks. They beat the Pacers. 2 of those wins are not very impressive at all. The Pacers have been awful. The Bucks didn't have Giannis, but beating the Hawks is kind of impressive. 8th in offense for the season, 3rd in defense, and 4th in net rating. And just a little fun fact, because everyone kind of hooped, right? Jaden Ivey came back from injury, and he's been great so far. They have Jenkins. He's been amazing. Duncan Robinson, Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham. Asar Thompson just came back. Tobias Harris just came back. Isaiah Stewart just came back. I mean, Paul Reed has been great. Like overall, this is a team that's like 13 deep, and that should be the deepest team in the league if it wasn't for the number 1 spot. But everyone's kind of just been killing it. Fun fact though, they have won 13 games in a row. The only other 2 times the Pistons have won 13 times in a row was in 1990 and in 2004. Both years where they won a championship. So maybe Cam is right. Maybe they will make the finals because that was his prediction. I'll give him credit for that. But at number 1, it is the most obvious ranking that you will ever have. The OKC Thunder being a number 1. They went 3-0. They beat the Kings. They beat the Jazz. They beat the Blazers. 2 of those wins, not very impressive. The Blazers is kind of impressive. One thing I will say about the Thunder, 4th in offense, 1st in defense, a 16.9 net rating. One thing I will say about the Thunder is they have had such an easy schedule. If you look at the remaining schedules based on like winning percentage, they have by far like the hardest schedule remaining, and they've had by far the easiest schedule. They can't control that, but they have been dominating so much to the point where like I'm not concerned. Like I still think they are on like a 75 win pace. I think they'll win 75 games because like it's one thing if they barely have been beating these like bad teams, but they've been literally killing them. I have all the confidence in the world that when it comes to beating the good teams, they will do it. Shea for the week averaged 34 points per game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals on 61, 67, 87 splits. Just ridiculous. Last thing I have to say is that's also pretty crazy. Shea averaged 34 points per game and led every OKC Thunder player that played over 10 minutes per game in field goal percentage. Like he shot better from the field than Chet, better than Hartenstein, better than all these bigs that, don't take many jumpers. And Shea's doing like all jumpers. He's taking like the most difficult shots in the world, and he's still more efficient than them. Just shows you he could still win MVP. I don't think he's in the league right now, but he definitely still could.
All right. It's a good list. I think we're going to have some definite similarities between ours with a few key differences. So I'm just going to launch right into mine. I had a hard time with the 10 spot. I really did. I went back and forth between 2 teams a lot. And so I'm going to give an honorable mention to one of these teams. And my honorable mention is going to go to the Atlanta Hawks. Now, the Hawks were a team I had top 10 this past week. And they are so close to being a top 10 team. They went 2-2 this past week. They beat a couple teams that they should have beaten, the Hornets and the Nets. They lost to a couple teams that, you'd think they'd probably lose to, although that Spurs loss without Wemby is one you'd hope to get if you're the Hawks and you're trying to be a true contender. Onyeka Okongwu has been amazing over his last couple weeks. Jalen Johnson has been the best player on the Hawks. Overall, I would even, consider Trey in that conversation too. And I said he was going to be the best player on the Hawks by the end of the season. I think he's already there. And I think the team has played great. I've talked about them at length. I think they play really well together. They're young and they run. And I think overall they're gelling. But there is one team that I have been more impressed by recently, especially over this past week. And that is the Phoenix Suns. And that's the team I have at my number 10 spot. Like I said, I went back and forth on this a lot. The Suns were a team I had not ranked. But really just thinking about it, Grayson Allen's been out a decent amount of time. Jalen Green has hardly played. They're working Mark Williams back into the rotation, and this team is still finding ways to win and finding ways to look very impressive. Dylan Brooks is having a career year in terms of offense. Devin Booker's doing his thing, 26-7 on decent efficiency. Mark Williams looks like a really good big. You haven't even really seen Malawach at all. I don't think he's maybe played in some garbage time minutes. Royce O'Neal has been a really good contributor, as he usually is as a tertiary guy. Ryan Dunn. I just really like the way the Suns have been playing. I know they lost by 22 to the Rockets last night, but generally they're playing like more of a team than we've seen the Suns play like in the last few years, and that's something that impresses me. And I'll be shorter with the other teams. I wanted to just go on a little bit of a length about those 2 teams because I think they've both been impressive. I think they both overachieved a little bit for what people would expect given their circumstances in this season. And the Suns deserve their due respect. 3-1 over the last week, beating the Spurs, the Timberwolves, and there was another good team they beat too. The Grizzlies. No, it wasn't the Grizzlies. What am I talking about? It's the Trailblazers. So 3 solid wins. I think they deserve respect for that. At my number 9 spot, I have the San Antonio Spurs. Same spot you had them. Don't have much else to say. I think Fox has looked Really good to start. I think the interesting thing will just be once all their pieces come back, how are they going to fit together between Castle and Harper and Fox splitting those guard minutes, and how these guards are going to play next to Wembanyama. We know Castle looks pretty good next to Wemby. We haven't really seen a big sample size of how Fox looks next to him, so interesting thing to keep an eye on. But they've definitely kept their heads above water with Wemby out, and that's impressive. At number 8, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs, I feel like I'll speak more negatively about them than I will about the other teams around this spot, even though they're still 8. They're still a good team because I had high expectations for them coming into the year. So far, and we'll talk about it later, Donovan Mitchell's having a career year, and they still have not looked very dominant to start the year. They're in that good, not great category. And when Donovan Mitchell is playing as well as he's playing, you would hope that they can look better. Evan Mobley overall has been about the same as he was last year, and that's maybe a little disappointing because you were hoping he would take more of an offensive leap. He's also shooting 56% from the free throw line on 6 attempts per game, which is not good for a guy that you want to have the ball in the hands of throughout the course of the game and hope that that's the way his game progresses. But overall, they're deep, they're talented. Garland hasn't really gotten his legs under him this season, and I think they'll be fine. It's just 7 other teams have performed a lot better than them. And speaking of which, at number 7, I have the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are a team that I feel like I've been giving credit towards in my words, but not in my rankings. And I think it's time that I switch that up a little bit because the Miami Heat have at every turn continued to play really good basketball and really solid basketball and play well together as a team. They stay connected. There are no holes on that defense. Tyler Hero played his first game last night and, like you said, dropped an efficient 24. Norman Powell has continued his hot streak from last year, which is extremely impressive considering his age and also his history as a player. And this big rotation is really what has impressed me the most between Kelowna Ware and Bam Adebayo. You have 2 legit 6'10 plus players who can switch pretty much to almost any position and you would feel okay about it. And that's huge because it improves their rebounding, improves their interior defense. It's what the Thunder have, and that's shown to be successful, and Miami is replicating that in their big rotation. At number 6, I have the Toronto Raptors. This is a team that someone had commented on my ranking of last week due to me not having them in the top 10 and giving them an honorable mention. And I said if they did well this week, even if they lost to the Cavs, I would have them in my top 10. And hey, guess what? They beat the Cavs and they looked pretty good doing it. Brandon Ingram looks like a legit, I mean, he's always been a legit bucket. Fastest guy in his class in terms of games played to 10,000 points. But Brandon Ingram just looked like such a legit bucket last night against the Cavs. And then you look at these other guys quickly, and Barnes and Barrett didn't even play last night. So many mouths to feed, so many guys that you consider to be kind of ball dominant guys, not really great catch and shoot players aside from maybe Ingram. But they've all played very well together. Podol's holding it down in the paint. Shed's playing good. There's just a lot of guys that have played better than I expected, frankly, and they have played really well at this point. They're second in the East. And do I think they maintain this? Probably not to this degree. But I do think that they will be a top 6 team in the East, most likely. At number 5 of the Los Angeles Lakers, we got to go see them play, which was a pretty good time. But yeah, the Lakers have looked odd in some ways this season. Obviously, the talent's there with Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and LeBron James. DeAndre Ayton's played well. Even guys like Rui Hachimura have played well off the bench. Dalton Knecht isn't getting burned anymore, which I find interesting due to their shooting struggles. But yeah, their team stats aren't great to this point in the year for as good as their record is. I think that's something they'll figure out. I don't know if the shooting is necessarily going to come like LeBron said it will, but they also don't need to be a shooting team. They're so good, all of them, at getting to the line and getting free throws and slowing the game down. And that probably benefits LeBron in the long term because even though he's still LeBron and he's still got all of the athletic gifts that he has and he's worked very hard to keep his body in condition, he's 41, 42 years old. It's going to help him to be able to slow the game down. And that's what Luka and Reeves will probably do. At number 4, and I thought this was interesting, I have the Houston Rockets. You had them one spot higher. You had the Nuggets at 4, and I'll just say I have the Nuggets at 3. These two teams are so close in my mind. They are, pretty much on that same level of like, okay, there's the 2 best teams in the NBA, and then there's these 2 teams, and then there's kind of everyone else. But the reason why I have the Nuggets above the Rockets, even though the Nuggets lost to the Kings this week, the Nuggets beat the Rockets, and I have to give them credit for that. They were without Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown and still found a way to win that game. And at the end of the day, you are going to lose to a team like the Kings every once in a while. Now, if that's a consistent pattern, I obviously have to hold that against you. But the Kings had another solid win last night against the Timberwolves. So obviously they're playing good right now. And the Nuggets, I mean, one-on-one, they beat the Rockets. And to me, that holds more weight than their overall record for the week, even though the Rockets had a couple good wins this week too. But yeah, the Houston Rockets have looked really good to this point in the year. They're second in the NBA in net rating. I feel like they are the opposite of the Lakers, where they're actually underperforming relative to their team stats. They look like they should be better than they are, and I find that very interesting. I think Amen needs to take that step of being a more aggressive scorer in order for this team to take that leap, because what they're really missing is that sort of offensive initiator. Kevin Durant has been that at times and has not been that at times. And as much as I like Sengun, even if you've got Jokic, you still need a Jamal Murray. So I want to see him then become that more of that offensive initiator, not just because I have him in fantasy, but also because I wanted to see him do that in general, because he is an incredibly gifted player. And then the Nuggets, Nikola Jokic has played like the best player on the planet to start the season. And they look really good. Jamal Murray is well in his playoff form at this point in time. And they've been without Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown, who are two very important pieces for them, especially surrounding Jokic. They're continuing to find ways to win, and I think at this current point in time, they're the biggest threat to the OKC in the West. At number 2, I have the Detroit Pistons. Should be no surprise to anybody. 13 straight wins, like you said, ties a franchise record. Cade Cunningham has looked really good to this point in the year. Jalen Duren has been an absolute offensive revelation. We knew he had the defense and rebounding, but the fact that he is developing a midi now is kind of insane. Because it really did come out of nowhere. Like, he just wasn't taking them last year, and now he's starting to gain a lot of confidence with his jumper. Jaden Ivey played his first game of the season recently, and he's getting back into the rotation, so it'll be interesting to see where they fit him in. But generally, I think this is a team that plays much like the Miami Heat in that they're very connected and they don't have any true gaps on defense, except you have Cade Cunningham instead of Tyler Hero. And all due respect to Tyler Hero, he's a good player, but Cade Cunningham is playing like a top 10 player in the NBA right now. He's bringing back that inefficient guard, volume scorer from the 2000s and the early 2010s, and I love it. So I want to continue to see the Pistons play well. Obviously, I had them going to the finals. I'd love to see them there at the end of the year, and they keep this up, they will be. Number 1, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder, and there really shouldn't need to be an explanation for it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is doing things that we've never seen he's doing what Jokic is doing. We've never seen what Shai is doing. We've also, we probably haven't seen since, Jordan, Kobe, like guys like that, in terms of a 6'6" guard dominating the game this way. And overall, the team has just played incredibly, and they still haven't had their second best player. And yes, they've had easy competition, but they're 17-1. You're 17-1 against NBA teams. You're doing something right. And J-Dub hasn't even played. I mean, this team looks like they're going to threaten the all-time wins record. Until they don't look that way, I have no reason to not put them at 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One reason I did have, because I guess that is kind of the big difference. We had a couple differences, but the big one is Nuggets versus Rockets. It really is a toss-up, and yeah, the Nuggets did win. I'm just more convinced by the Rockets. The fact that they have held the best offensive rating in the NBA for so long, after having, like Amen Thompson and like Steven Adams, guys like that on your team, who respectfully before the season, we didn't think were like that good offensively. It's just amazing. And the fact that the Nuggets, again, they did beat the Rockets head to head, but just consistently their defense just isn't keeping up, and it's not affecting their wins, right? So that's why win-wise it doesn't matter. But when it comes to how I personally rank them, I do still, I saw, like, personally, and they're still a great team, but I did see Jock Landale kind of walk down Jokic yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit concerning. It's not a big concern. I'm not saying that this is the reason they're not going to win at all or something like that, but like, that is kind of one reason I wouldn't put the Rockets. It's just like a generally higher threat. There's just generally less weaknesses, I'd say.
I agree, and I think generally that's true. I will also give the Nuggets the credit of missing Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown, who are two of their better defenders, especially Aaron Gordon, who's very switchable. The thing that I hold against the Rockets a little bit, and I spoke to how good their team stats are. They have the second best net rating in the NBA. It's one of the best net ratings in NBA history, but they're not closing out games. There's been at least 2 games against good teams that they could have won that they haven't closed out in the games that they've had against the Thunder and the Nuggets. And I am concerned by this because you went and got Kevin Durant to be that guy. Kevin Durant was supposed to be the guy that closed out games for you, and he has a couple times. There have been, I can't remember what team they were playing, but he hit, a nice little Kevin Durant size up to put them up 3 with like 4 seconds to go. So, Kevin Durant is still doing Kevin Durant things, but I want to see more because so far the Houston Rockets have looked like a, 95% of the game team where it's like they can be great for 95% of the game, but you get into clutch time, you don't like, you look at the best teams in the NBA, right? The Thunder have a closer, dude. The Thunder have a closer. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander might be one of the, number one guys in the league when it comes to, I want you to go get a bucket in crunch time. And honestly, if I need a 2 from the mid-range, I'm not going to anyone else. It's definitely Shai. And maybe if I need a 2 in general, the Pistons have Cade. And I would say Cade, even though he can be inefficient at times, is definitely a closer. He's a guy who can get to his spots very easily. The Nuggets have Jokic and Jamal Murray, who could both be closers in their own ways. And the Lakers have Luka Doncic and LeBron James and Austin Reeves, who have all shown capabilities to close out games. The Rockets are supposed to have Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant at times has looked a little more passive, which may be a result of the team he's playing on. But if that's going to be the case, I need to see Amen Thompson and Alperen Sengun develop more of that aggressive mentality in the clutch. And honestly, Amen more so, because Sengun is a great player, and I really do like Sengun. I think he's one of the top 5 centers or has played like it in the NBA this year. But his bag in the clutch, as we even saw against the Warriors, is not as deep as you'd like it to be for a go-to option. And Amen is a guy who you look at and you would say, with your athleticism and your physical ability, there should be no reason anyone could stop you from getting to the basket and getting a 2 in the clutch. And I want to see Amen do that more. I feel like he's underperforming for his physical capability. He's obviously performing very well this season, but I want to see more of that because, we even saw it yesterday. There's this clip of him where he catches the ball in the corner and takes like literally one step and then double clutch dunk at the rim. Like, this dude might be the most athletic guy I've ever seen, along with like Ja Morant and Derrick Rose, and he's 6'6".
Yeah.
Okay,
personally, though, I do disagree. I agree with the fact that, yes, the men probably should be better in the clutch, but honestly, it should just be Kevin Durant. They should just be better at giving it to Kevin Durant. We talk about, because obviously Kevin Durant's a better player than Amen Thompson, but you talk about Giannis versus Middleton in that aspect. Like, Middleton was always that closer, and I think everyone was kind of fine with Middleton being the closer because he was so good at it. And Kevin Durant should be way better than like a Chris Middleton.
It's the same way that people are fine with Jamal Murray being a closer, because what you do really need, your closer kind of has to be a guy that can get to those mid-range spots and knock down shots, because those are going to be the shots that are available in crunch time. Teams are going to clog the paint, and if you're, they don't want to give up a 3 to lose the game, right? If you're down by 2. So that mid-range spot is going to be what's open. And Amen hasn't fully developed that yet. So I will give some credit to that. I just want to see more from Amen because he becomes a non-factor in the clutch a lot of the time. It really does just become Sengun or KD. And Amen's supposed to be that third guy, and maybe even like the second guy, kind of. Like, it just depends on how good he gets. That being said, both these guys are really young. Amen's 22 and Sengun is 23. So if I'm a Rockets fan, I have a lot to look forward to about the future. And I'm not unhappy that these guys haven't developed that yet, but let's just hope that we see that as the season goes on, because this is a damn good opportunity for them to win a title. You don't want to squander it, even if your core is young.
No, yeah, you want to go all in. By the way, quick random note, because
Yeah.
we were last night talking about like what team. It's so interesting to think about Cam Thomas and his free agency thing. Cam Thomas is one of those guys who could just be a closer for a team like the Dallas Mavericks with Anthony Davis.
But that is such a luxury that you have to, if you're a team, you have to be good everywhere else, because you only get 10 guys that you're going to play during a game. If you're giving minutes to this guy, because if you got Cam Thomas on your team, it's not like you're just giving him minutes in the clutch.
Yeah,
so
you're giving
him minutes throughout the game. So you have to be we are so solid everywhere else defensively that we can afford to give up a guy, like a roster spot in minutes, to a guy who's a liability everywhere else except scoring, where he's incredible, right? Because he's not a rebounder, he's not a distributor, he's not a defender, but he can soar the ball. Not that he should be this guy this year, but eventually who you would hope could be that guy is a Reed Shepherd. You would hope that he can turn into that Jamal Murray kind of guy.
Yeah. So that's kind of a little situation the Rockets have. But then again, you don't want to waste Kevin Durant, but also, KD's not the definition of the team. Like if Kevin Durant wasn't on this team, like you could just replace him with another scorer and it'd still be fine. Like Kevin Durant has been playing great, but he has not been doing as much as like a Kevin Durant probably should.
He's looked like a really good NBA player, just not like Kevin Durant.
The Rockets look like like Jalen Green could come back to the team and they'd still be really good.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'd say all the other pieces have been looking that good. Where Jalen Green could replace KD and they'd be like worse, but they'd still. Yeah. It wouldn't be that much.
I mean,
worse.
I think KD will show more of his value even in the playoffs, and which is where I want him to. You know, obviously, what are we, 15 games into the season for the Rockets, 16, and he's healthy. That's kind of the biggest thing for them. Is just keeping Kevin Durant healthy. If he gets hurt, they'll be fine too. I mean, they've got so many guys that are good, and it would just give more opportunity to Sengun and Amen. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure. And then elsewhere on the list, I don't know where you had the Suns, if you were thinking of them as like an 11 or 12.
They were borderline. They could have been 10. Yeah.
The only reason I had them higher is just because Devin Booker to this point has looked better than anybody on the Hawks. And when it comes down to it, Jalen Johnson has looked good. And the Hawks have close games. I will give them credit for that.
I don't know. I'd say Jalen Johnson looked better than Booker.
Jalen Johnson has looked really good, actually.
Is Booker even like Booker's been playing great?
But I mean, you just talk about the depth of the guys performing on the Suns, and you don't even have Jalen Green. Like Grayson Allen's averaging 18.5. Dylan Brooks is averaging 22. Colin Gillespie is having a really good season as a bench guard. Mark Williams is playing good. Royce O'Neal is playing good. Like, there's just not many.
Jordan Goodwin's come out.
Jordan Goodwin, yeah. I mean, he hooped. So I think there's just a lot there, and they're missing who is supposed to be their second best player and have been for most of the year. And you could say the Hawks are missing Trey, but y'all know what we think about Trey. So now take a second and imagine, if you will, your younger sibling. If you have one, or if you don't, use your imagination. Imagine the age you got to where they were just a little kid and you had to kind of be older, and you just realized, like, gosh, the things they say to me are just ridiculous and they're stupid. And I can't even let them get to me because we're on different levels. Everyone gets to that age. You get older, you grow up, you mature, and you just let it go to a degree. You go, this is stupid, they're stupid, that's just a fact. That's Klay Thompson and Ja Morant right now. If you don't know, Ja Morant once again decided to poke Klay Thompson, as he has many times in the past. There's a storied history between Klay and the Grizzlies. And over the course of the game, he called Klay Thompson a bum. And Klay Thompson was asked about this. And I'm just going to read off what his response. So initially he was asked, what did Ja say to you during the game? And he said, nothing of intelligent depth. And then he proceeded to say this about Ja. Just running his mouth. He's been running his mouth for a long time, and it's funny to run your mouth when you're on the bench. It's kind of the story of his career so far, just leaving us wanting more. You know, we all want to see him out there and do his best, but he's been letting a lot of other stuff get in the way of that. We need that in the NBA. We need our best players to be out there. And he concluded that he hated seeing Ja Morant's talent go to waste. Ja Morant responded with, he didn't even respond. NBA Youngboy tweeted out something on Twitter, said stop putting narratives on shit, and Ja Morant retweeted it. So these are the levels that we're working with right here. And I just think it's so fascinating, Ja Morant, a guy who time and time again has been punished for his immaturity and his inability to get over himself, has continued this same process. And it's one thing when you're a 20-year-old guy coming into the league. I mean, I'm 22. I act stupid sometimes. I'm not going to blame that on being 22, but I know that, you know, people with more experience than me would look at some of the things I do and go, what's wrong with you, right? Yeah. But Ja Morant's 25. He's been in the league for a while, and it's not that he doesn't know how to conduct himself, it's that he hasn't cared to attempt to conduct himself differently. And again, we see guys like this in the NBA all the time, right? There are always guys who are going to use their confidence in a sort of negative way, but it benefits them. But you got to win. And the Grizzlies aren't winning, and the Grizzlies haven't been winning. And Ja Morant is continuing to act in the same way he did when the Grizzlies were winning, and it reflects poorly on him, in my opinion. But I want to hear what you think. Do you think Ja was in the wrong in this situation as much as Klay's reaction, seemed to indicate he was? Do you think Klay's reaction was proportional?
I honestly have no idea what to think of the situation because honestly, I don't like this whole dynamic of and this might sound crazy because we know how great Klay Thompson was in his prime and how good of a career he had, but like I don't like when number twos talk to number ones. I don't like it. I don't like when unless it's like someone who's like not even a number two. They're not a Hall of Fame player, like a Dylan Brooks. That's why I loved the Dylan Brooks Klay Thompson beef because it was like Dylan Brooks. It was like delusion. Like in no world are you better than Klay Thompson.
No,
So it's funny when they talk, or like when Dylan Brooks was talking trash to LeBron, but then now when it's like Klay Thompson, who, yes, he's amazing, but he was a number two to Stephen Curry versus Ja Morant, who has had all the pressure of having a franchise on himself. It's like, but Ja Morant did start it. That's the problem.
Yeah, and I don't agree with you on that either because Klay Thompson is Klay Thompson. He's a 4-time champion and a multi-time All-Star, and he's the second greatest shooter of all time. You can say he's number two in terms of being a scoring option, but defensively, he was also like you could say he was the second best offensive player and the second best defender before Kevin Durant. Like before Kevin Durant got there for the offensive player, you can even argue he's the second best defender on that team until his ACL tear and his Achilles injury. So Klay Thompson is a guy who I think I mean, given what we've seen in their careers, is better than Ja Morant overall.
I wouldn't say so.
He is.
He's not the better basketball player than Ja Morant. He's not.
He contributes more to winning. He contributes more to winning than Ja Morant.
He's gotten to play with Stephen Curry. His game is molded to be a number two. There's a reason Klay Thompson never left to be a number one.
Okay, and Ja's game is molded to be a number one, and Klay Thompson has had far more success as a number two than Ja Morant has had as a number one. Ja Morant would never work as a number two. You think Ja can't shoot off the ball? He doesn't do anything off the ball. I've watched his games a lot because I have him on my fantasy team this year, and I've been wondering why is this guy doing so poorly in fantasy? And number one, it's because he averages like 6 turnovers a game, and number two, it's because when the ball is out of his hands, nothing is happening. Remember in his like second or third year when he used to cut to the basket because he's the most athletic guard in the NBA? Yeah, he doesn't do that anymore. Or he was the most athletic guard in the NBA before Crash Out arrived at Houston. Yeah.
You could even say Ant, honestly. But
you could say Ant too. But yeah, Ja used to be one of those guys who you had to watch at all times. That made him dangerous. Now he just doesn't care to even move off the ball. If the ball's not in his hands, he seems disinterested, and he's a defensive liability. So what? I'm taking a Trae Young that can't shoot and can get to the basket a little bit better over Klay Thompson? No, I'm not doing that.
I don't know. I mean, okay, here's the thing though. I can't say Ja Morant's in the right or like, yeah, Ja Morant's number one. I can't say that all the way because Ja did start it. Mm-hmm. Why you're starting beef with a guy like Klay Thompson, I don't know. Because yeah, I want Ja Morant to start beef with other guys who are the guy, and then I want Ja Morant to go out and prove him wrong. The problem is he can't because he's hurt. I think in general I am siding with Klay Thompson because I also do agree with, I mean, Klay Thompson said it at the end. Obviously, he's mature. He says, well, nothing of intellectual depth. Like, shut up, dude. Like, just say like he said something stupid. You don't have to try and be all smart. I don't know. But I agree with Klay Thompson at the end saying, yeah, Ja Morant has potential, and I do believe Klay Thompson, even though he talks trash, he does want the best for everyone. He's a nice guy. He wants Ja Morant to be amazing. And that's another reason I don't like this beef. I don't like it. Klay's too nice, and Ja's too, like, lame. Like, honestly, like Ja Morant's way too lame.
I don't think Klay's not. I think Klay, you're kind of perceiving it as like nice in a way, but he's just,
I think he's a nice asshole. He's a nice asshole.
He's dressing him down is what he's doing, which if you don't are you familiar with that?
I kind of understand it. Yeah.
So he's basically just picking him apart and looking at it in that way, which is, that's not, I think he did it genuinely. And maybe this is just my own perception. I think he did it because he knows that will get under Ja's skin way more than if he came out and showed that he was irritated by it. I think Ja wants the reaction. Ja is the younger sibling who's just poking and looking for a reaction. And if he doesn't get one, then he gets no satisfaction out of the situation, right?
Ja is one of those Americans that, yeah, when they have no problems, they create a problem. And, yeah, that's the thing. I really do want to side with Ja in a way, but I can't. because we've kind of said this for years. I mean, all the narratives that have gone on throughout these last 5 to 8 whatever years of his career have been true. Ja Morant has been like there was a couple years where we were saying, are the Grizzlies better without Ja Morant? And part of me kind of thinks they are, not in the aspect of like they're playing better basketball. That could be true because I guess Tyus Jones was doing great with the Grizzlies at the time, but it's also just, it is kind of a culture thing of like Ja Morant is immature. And I feel like we've seen enough stars who have come into the NBA and have been mature enough. That's the problem. We can't blame age when we've seen maturity.
And Ja Morant is at the point where his maturity might cost him money, like a significant amount of money.
It already has cost him a significant amount.
It has,
but it might cost him even more. Yeah.
I'm talking about tens of millions of dollars on his next contract. And I think it's so interesting because Ja Morant has to have one of the worst PR teams in the entire NBA. Now, he's not doing them any favors, but you don't ever hear good things about Ja Morant. You don't ever hear that Ja Morant went to a community event. Maybe that's just because I'm not living in Memphis and I'm not seeing that. So maybe that's more of a local thing. But you don't hear Ja Morant did X, Y, and Z for the community. You don't hear Ja Morant met with a fan and had a positive fan interaction. You don't hear this stuff. You hear that about Ant. And Ant's a guy who is well publicly known, was like commanding a woman to like take, an abortion pill, basically. And
he needs a PR team.
What?
Because I wouldn't doubt he is doing these things, actually. I think John.
I'm not saying he isn't doing those things, but we constantly hear about the negative stuff. And then you look at a guy like Ant, who is kind of on that same level as Ja, but he's made himself way more likable.
I also think it's one, like a PR team, and then you also have to have these fans that die by you. And it's hard to have that when you go out and flex these guns and get suspended and all that. Like, there's a reason. I mean, Ja, like, not shooters as in the Ja Morant kind of way, but Ja doesn't have shooters anymore. Like, Zion doesn't have shooters. When you mess up and it's not a basketball related thing, people really stop caring about you.
Yeah,
like, because it does stop the trajectory of your career.
I remember we have a friend, Luke, who used to be a big Ja Morant fan. Like, he just doesn't even care anymore. Like,
no,
and it's crazy how quick it happened because these athletic guards hold a following for so long. If you're an athletic guard in the NBA, people will watch you and people will like you. Ja Morant is the exception because Ja Morant he's not even just an athletic guard. He's not even like, an Amon Shumpert or, a J.R. Smith who's just shot chucking and athletic and does all these crazy things. He's actually a good NBA player, or he should be. And he still doesn't, get that following. And that's kind of insane to me, honestly.
No, and I really think the off the court stuff is the difference because you look at a guy, Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook, John Wall, like all these guys, like if their career did fall off, which Russell Westbrook's didn't, but John Wall's did kind of end a little early. Derrick Rose's obviously, it was because of injuries, and no one's gonna blame you for injuries. Fans love saying, "What if? What if he didn't get hurt? What if he didn't get hurt?" No one says, "What if he didn't just start? What if he didn't bring guns to a club?" And
no, because there's a difference between things outside of your control and things inside your control.
Unless you're Gilbert Arenas, I think some people actually do ask what if.
Yeah,
but there's no like Gilbert Arenas fans. That's the problem. Like people recognize how cool he is, but no one is like, "Oh yeah, I really rock with Gilbert Arenas." Unless like you just love his podcast.
I guess.
In which case, go ahead. But I do still stand on my point of if it was Klay Thompson starting the fight, I don't like number twos starting fights with number ones because you kind of have to get there because you don't have the pressure that
I just don't think. I mean, it probably goes back all the way to 2022. Honestly, like I think it's been a consistent thing between the Grizzlies and Klay. Yeah, because Draymond was always going to talk, and Steph wasn't. Is kind of the understanding. Steph isn't really a talker that much unless he'll say like one or two things. I feel like, but he's not going to press on it. And Draymond is going to talk the entire game. But that was the first time we've really seen Klay like go at a team and go after a team. So I'd imagine the Grizzlies started it for sure. I mean, and you talk about how physical they were in that playoff run against the Warriors, them hurting Gary Payton. Just some different stuff like that and how intense that rivalry was for a minute, and then the Warriors dominated it. Yeah, I think Klay started talking shit at that point in time, but it's up to you on who started it. Was it the Grizzlies for being physical and talking to the Warriors in general? Was it Klay for making it more of like a personal him and the Grizzlies thing, or is it Ja for continuing this 3 years after the fact?
Because no one else really feels like that.
Yeah,
especially because Dillon Brooks is gone. I'm actually so mad that Dillon Brooks is like a journeyman kind of player because he is someone where if he stayed on the Grizzlies, there'd be so many more like cooler rivalries. Like, even though there is
Yeah.
still like a Brooks versus Braun thing.
But I actually love him on the Suns.
Oh,
Honestly.
I mean,
Like,
he found his spot. Like,
yeah.
don't get me wrong. It's just, and especially now, like when he talks trash, he can back it up a little bit by being
He's
pretty
averaging
good.
22. I mean, like,
Donovan Mitchell so far this season is having a career year, averaging 30 points per game. Super efficient. He's playmaking. He's kind of doing everything for this Cleveland Cavaliers team that is playing really well to NBA standards. I will say, compared to last year, the Cavaliers aren't doing as well. But Mitchell has been doing pretty much everything because every other player outside of like Evan Mobley has been hurt on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, Hunter's been missing games. Jalen Tyson's missed some games. Jared Allen's missed some games. Garland had just come back. Lonzo Ball's even missed some games. And overall, Mitchell is kind of the definition of this team because everyone else, it's just not looking so good. I mean, last year they were probably second or like at least top 5 in net rating. And this year they're, I think, barely 10th. So the Cavaliers, what do you think of them, Cam? What do you think of them?
I think when I look at the Cleveland Cavaliers, I look at a team that has stagnated a little bit. This is a team that has had this core for 3 years now. Of 3 years, or is it 4 years that Mitchell's been there?
You know what's crazy? I was looking at it. Donovan Mitchell, this is his 4th year. It does not feel like Mitchell has been a Cavalier for 4 years.
Yeah, this is his 4th year in Cleveland. They've had the same group of guys the whole time. Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. They've run with this core. Evan Mobley's gotten better. Darius Garland stayed about the same. What? If you're not evolving in the NBA, you're moving backwards, especially if you're a good team. It was something we talked about with the Thunder, actually, funny enough, at the start of the year, where we were like, we really wish they would have made a move in the offseason. You know what? Hey, what do we know? Because
they're still killing it.
They bet on their guys, and their guys got even better. So, you know what I mean? If that's going to be the evolution, then that's one thing. But the Cavs have been pretty much the same team for the last 4 years. And it concerns me that Donovan Mitchell is having as good of a year as he's having, and the Cavs are still they're not great. They're good, but they're not great. They just lost to the Raptors last night, and the Raptors didn't have Barrett either. So you can go, the Cavs didn't have Garland, but the Raptors didn't have Barrett, and the Raptors looked like the better team for most of that game. And it just showed that when Donovan Mitchell struggles, that team does not perform well. So that team goes as Donovan Mitchell goes, and the perception I have about the Cavs is really they're only going to go as far as Donovan Mitchell can take them. And that's the only perspective I feel fair to have about them right now, because Evan Mobley has not shown that he can be that guy offensively. And Darius Garland, while he has been at times, has not performed well in the playoffs. So it really comes down to Donovan Mitchell. Do you believe that Donovan Mitchell can be the number one guy definitively on a championship team? And
I feel like he has the talent to do it.
I feel like it's just, we have this conversation so much, and he has the talent to do it, but you just don't see very many undersized guards. Even though he's a big, like, physical guard, he's still smaller. You just don't see many small guards carry their teams to championships. Steph Curry comes to mind, but you go back before that, who do you even... You could say Chauncey Billups was the best player on that Detroit team, so he carried them to a championship, but that was a team effort. That was Ben Wallace and Rip Hamilton and all those guys coming together and being an incredible team, right? So... Do you go Isaiah?
Oh, and you're just talking about one small guard, and it would be Isaiah and Dumars, because we're talking about a backcourt. This is Garland and Mitchell. Mm-hmm. Like, ideally, you want Garland to be healthy. In fact, the Cavs have been 4-1 with Garland healthy, so that is great. But even though Garland himself hasn't played great, I think just that was coincidence of like the whole team playing great. I could be wrong, but overall, I mean, we look at what the Thunder are doing right now and how they're dominating and how they just won a championship, and it is everyone buying in defensively and being amazing defensively. Mm-hmm. That's just something that Mitchell and Garland can't do, or at least I don't believe that they can do. I still think they can win a couple of playoff series just like last year, but will they go all the way? This isn't looking like the team, especially because what made them so dominant last year in the regular season was how good a Ty Jerome was, how good all of their shooters were, how good DeAndre Hunter in that second half of the year was when he was traded to the Cavaliers. And we look at this season, and now they're playing with Lonzo Ball, who is not only Lonzo Ball plays point guard when Garland's out, but when Garland's playing, he is like more of a 3, and that's a pretty small 3. And yeah, he's good defensively, but I mean, for the season, what is he shooting? He's shooting 31% from the field, and 28% from three. I mean, this is not the Lonzo Ball you thought you would get. Sam Merrill's been like their one shooter that's been super consistent. He's been injured as well.
And the problem is what they need is a 2 that is taller, bigger, and can defend and is a better catch and shoot player. Garland's a solid catch and shoot player. I'm not saying that, but just a good catch and shoot player. And those guys are at a premium right now. Those guys are super valued because even though the shooting guard position isn't the ball dominant, position it once was as a scorer, it's still an extremely valuable position because that's a guy who can theoretically guard positions 4 through 1 and will probably end up guarding the best player on the other team unless that player is a Giannis or a center. So,
yeah. And I do think that Donovan Mitchell, if he was to play the point guard position, would he be one of the best playmakers? Would he be, the best point guard? No. But he's serviceable at point guard. He would be able to be point guard unless you get like a big point guard, like a Dyson Daniels kind of thing, where you need a guy like next to Dyson to have huge playmaking responsibilities for a shooting guard. Like that pairing would honestly be perfect, or like just a mold of that, even like a Marcus Smart who's like a little bit bigger.
A KCP
would be great too
on that team for sure. So maybe at some point you call up the Grizzlies if they continue to perform poorly and see what it would cost to get KCP.
Another player who's been killing it, where it's like, I don't know how consistent this is. Jalen Tyson has been amazing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to disrespect Jalen Tyson, but he's shooting 48% from three. I mean, that's your one like other good offensive player. Even Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley's been good this season, but he hasn't been amazing. There's a running gag on Twitter of people calling him 18 and 8 man or 18 and 10 man. It's one of those two. But it's pretty much where like he will get to that point and then just never go higher. Yeah. It's kind of like it was kind of like when Shea would just get 30 points every single game. Either it was last season or the season before that. Yeah. And people will call him Mr. 30. But that's 30 points that you're getting.
Yeah.
Evan Mobley ending at 18. I mean, before the season, we were talking about Evan Mobley being the best player on this team. And right now, it's not looking too much like it. I mean, overall, we were watching the Cavs game last night. I wasn't too impressed with Mobley's defense.
No. Mobley should be like 1B on this team would be the hope if you're going to go places. Garland is a really good second or third option. But you want Mobley to be that guy that it's like, it gives you such a different look and a different dynamic than Donovan Mitchell. And the other thing is they don't play off each other very well. I got to be honest with you. For the two best players on that team, Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley don't play off each other very well. I don't see them in a lot of pick and roll action, or as much as I would like to see. And that's not always the worst thing in the world, but you look at, teams where guys are really good. Everyone benefits off of Shea when it comes to the Thunder. But Shea and J-Dub play very well off of each other because J-Dub is the type of guy who loves to get to the rim and get to the rim physically. And Shea is going to open up those lanes for him to be able to drive. The Nuggets, I mean, you look at a team like that, Jamal Murray and Jokic are kind of the blueprint for your two top players playing off of one another. The Lakers, even in some weird way, have this dynamic where they have these three really ball dominant guys, but it creates this web of passing where it's like there are three guys on the court that could make the perfect pass at any time.
Yeah.
I just don't get anything when I watch the Cavs in terms of a dynamic between their two best players. And you need that. You need that synergy because it makes both of those guys better, right? So I don't know if there's a thing they can do in terms of coaching to try to open up more shots for Evan Mobley, or I don't know. I mean, you obviously don't trade him. You obviously don't. Garland is the piece that you trade if you trade anybody, but for who? I mean,
no. I think it's just one of those things they have to work through. And it might just be better coaching.
I mean, maybe you need Tyrese Proctor to get more burn because he's a little bit bigger, but he's also a rookie. He's not going to be very good on defense at this stage of his career, most likely. And that's kind of what they need more than anything.
Yeah.
I'm like looking through all these teams and I'm like, who do you even call up?
I mean, honestly, if they're going to make a trade, it's going to be either for a legit like defending starting small forward and then you bench Hunter, or you trade one of Garland or Jared Allen.
If you could get Derek White from the Celtics, that would be perfect. but I just don't see a world where
To
they can
replace Garland?
Yeah, I just don't see a world where they could. I don't know where. I just don't know that the Celtics would bite on that.
No.
I think
It
they
worked
value
way too well with
I
Jason
think
Tatum.
I think they value Derek White so much, and they know Tatum's coming back next year, and I don't think there's any plan to get rid of Derek White. So
No, I'm just hoping that, yeah, they work through it. You got to hope that some of these shooters turn up, because while I am saying Tyson shouldn't be shooting this good, there's a couple players like Alonzo who should be shooting better.
call Portland, get Drew Holiday.
Get a Jeremy Grant, honestly. That wouldn't even be terrible.
But you already have Hunter. I mean, do you really need a Jeremy Grant on top of that?
No, you don't. You also just got to hope Hunter. I mean, Hunter hasn't, Hunter's kind of back to his former self this season.
Yeah, he's averaging 18.
He's averaging 18, but the splits really aren't what it was last year. I mean, he's shooting 33% from three this season. He was shooting like 43% last season. But also last season was an outlier. He shouldn't have been even that good. So
Yeah. I mean,
I'm hoping it's not fake. I'm kind of rooting for the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
It's one of the, I mean, I've been rooting for Donovan Mitchell his whole career. I've always wanted him to thrive. I think he should be a top 10 player in the league, scoring wise. Well, not even just scoring, but because of his scoring. I mean,
it's just hard. It's hard for a guy like that to be considered top 10. I think.
I mean, if Donovan Mitchell was a Finals MVP, I'm not going to say that. If the Cavaliers were to win the championship,
Then he would be.
then he would be. Oh, okay, but yeah. Okay, but just hear me out.
Yeah.
If Donovan Mitchell and the Cavaliers were to win a championship, and let's say Donovan Mitchell is the Finals MVP, whatever, he was the best player on the team. When was the last time a team won a championship where their best player was a borderline top 10 guy? Like, this Cavaliers team would really have to mold together to help him out.
Yeah.
Because last time I'm thinking, really, probably the Spurs in 14. Mm-hmm. Where
Duncan wasn't quite
Duncan or
at that
Kawhi
level. Kawhi wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
It was the Spurs.
And that was a team that, to be honest, theoretically, this kind of should be one of those Spurs teams. I guess, I mean, you'd have to call Mitchell one of Tony Parker or Manu. So never mind. No one's really Kawhi. I mean, DeAndre Hunter going into the draft was Kawhi. Yeah. But it has to be one of those things where everyone else has to be playing perfect. I actually do believe, the more I watch it, the more I do like the Evan Mobley and Jared Allen fit. I'm even looking at the on-off numbers, and when both of them are on the court, they are a plus, this season at least, a plus 14 net rating. They have been playing amazing.
The thing about Mobley is he's got a bit of the Chet problem that Chet had before this year. He's been shooting amazing this year. Mobley's not very good at the rim relative to his size. He is 11th on the Cavs in 2-point percentage. Now, that's including Naquan Tomlin and Chris Livingston, who have both. So, you gotta take that with a grain of salt. But even if you're just considering the guys who are getting consistent burn, he is, 8th on the team in 2-point percentage.
That is crazy.
For reference, Donovan Mitchell is shooting 63% from two, which is insane for a 6'2", 6'3" guard. And Evan Mobley is shooting 56% from two, which is lower than Hunter, Merrill, Wade, Allen, Tyson, Porter, all of them.
No excuses, man. Mobley is too fast for a 7-footer to be.
And then the biggest problem is that there is a massive, and I mean massive, drop off in the quality of play between their top few guys, their top 6 or 7 guys, and Tyrese Proctor and Lonzo Ball and Larry Nance Jr. Now, Darius Garland is in that category of guys that have been playing horribly to start the season, but you would hope that he gets that back. 34% from the field, 37% from three. He's only shooting 32% from two. So you'd imagine with his talent level, he gets that back. But the Cavs are not as deep as they were last year. They don't have a Ty Jerome anymore. And you kind of would hope Lonzo Ball would be an improvement over that, but he really just has not been very good to start the year. So
honestly, Craig Porter Jr. is more of a Ty Jerome type than
is.
Lonzo Ball, and he has been playing amazing. I don't know why he's only 10th with Garland being out so much. I don't know why he's only averaging 17 minutes a game, but his splits have been 53, 45% from three, and then free throw 50%. He's barely taking any free throws. but Craig Porter Jr. has always been a guy who randomly will get on the court and just start hooping. He has been for the last couple of years, honestly.
That's the other concerning thing. Mobley shoots the second most free throws on the team, and he only shoots 59%.
Wow.
I mean, that's not
59. Oh, actually, yeah, 59.
How do you give a guy the ball in the clutch who can't make free throws? And it's not like this has historically been a huge problem for him. I mean, he's never been a good free throw shooter. He's always been a very average one. But he shot 72.5% from the free throw line last year. So I don't know what's going on. Honestly, it's very odd.
He's kind of happy. I know he's shooting 50% from the field, but Mobley kind of is having an off season. And I feel like all his buckets that I've seen are just like wide open from feeds, from their point guards, from Alonzo, from a Mitchell. You know, like
he looks like his rookie year self right now, which is not what they need.
No, so you got to hope that he turns that up. But yeah, before the season, I did have the Cleveland Cavaliers actually. I think I had them winning it all because I was just that confident.
You did, yeah.
In like a Hunter, in like, you know, Garland's fit and all that. But now, yeah, I don't believe in their depth so much. I would definitely take that back right now. I'm still gonna root for the guy. Oh, obviously I'm a Hawks fan and we're actually decent, so I'm gonna root for the Hawks. But like after that, like I'm not mad if a Cavaliers wins it or like I'm rooting for this core. This core should be in theory good, like a Spurs, like a everyone just kind of does their thing. And it's not like even though Mitchell is like the superstar. He's not.
You know what? You know what the problem is, Corby, and this is my opinion about the Cavs. When I look at them, there are too many guys on the team who need shots to be at their best, and this is what I mean by that. Look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. Look at who they have constructed. Not who. Look at how they've constructed their roster. You have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who needs the ball in his hands to be at his best and needs to shoot the ball to be at his best. You have J-Dub, who to be at his best needs the ball and needs to shoot, right, a certain amount of times. And Chet is on that borderline where he can be very good without the ball, but he's at his best when he's able to score, right? 3 guys. No one else is like that on the team, save maybe Aaron Wiggins, right? Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein, Cason Wallace. Maybe Isaiah Joe is a guy like that too. But they have limited the amount of guys whose production and, you know, capability on the court is affected by how much the ball can be in their hands because you have a limited number of possessions per game. Now, the Cavs have gone out and gotten all this talent, but the problem is none of these guys are really great when they're not shooting the ball. DeAndre Hunter is a good defender, but he has turned more into that scoring guy, right?
He needs shots.
He needs shots. Darius Garland needs shots. Donovan Mitchell needs shots. Evan Mobley needs shots because even as good as we were just talking about this the other day, as good as Evan Mobley is at defense, he is a little bit overrated in terms of a defender. I don't think he's quite to that Depoy level of being a player when you look at his pure defensive capability. Obviously, his counting stats are very good. He's not this elite rebounder. You kind of like for Evan Mobley to be the guy that you are paying him to be and giving him the opportunity to be, he needs to shoot the ball and he needs to score better, right? He needs to be a 20-plus point per game guy. I think the hope would at least be that he can have the offensive production of a Jaren Jackson, right?
Yeah, you'd hope. I will say he is a good rebounder. I think he is.
He's a solid rebounder. I don't think he's an elite rebounder, though.
I mean, he averages like 9 next to Jared Allen, so I'd say that's pretty good.
But yeah, I mean,
I'd say whenever you're playing against them, you are scared of both of them getting a rebound.
And then you look at Lonzo Ball, is a guy that doesn't necessarily need to be shooting, but he needs the ball in his hands.
Well, the defense is going to make him shoot. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Tyrese Proctor is obviously a rookie, and they're relying like Naquan Tomlin is also a young player. There's just a lot there where you have one ball and you have a limited number of possessions and you need everyone to be able to execute their role as effectively as possible on those possessions. And the Cavs have guys who possession to possession, they can go to a lot of different guys, but they're not maximizing their team every possession. Whereas you look at the Thunder, everyone is doing something on every possession.
Okay, but you can't just compare every team to the Thunder.
Why not?
They're the model.
They're the model. That's who you're competing with. You have to beat the Thunder to win a championship.
You have to have the personnel that the Thunder have. Is the problem?
So maybe that's the problem.
But every team can have the Thunder's personnel. Or
so then, how do they fix this?
I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think all they need to do is place Hunter back on the bench. That way, only 3 guys in the starting lineup will really need shots, which is normal for the NBA. For only 3 guys in the starting lineup,
you put in the starting lineup instead of Hunter?
You put Tyson. Then it's Garland, Mitchell. They both need shots. Tyson, Jared Allen don't need shots. And then Mobley, like, yeah, I understand what you're saying about he needs shots, but he doesn't need shots. Yeah, he doesn't.
He's on that Chet level of like
Chet doesn't need shots.
Needs shots, but doesn't need shots. Like if he's on, like it's like he can't.
I mean, look at the stats. I'd rather him not shoot.
Yeah, if you're Cleveland, did you build this roster with Evan Mobley not shooting in mind, and maybe you just have to eat crow on that one? And
okay, personally, if you have a backcourt of Mitchell and Garland, then yes, you do it without. Ideally, Garland and Mitchell take all the shots. That is an ideal world with maybe a 3 and Jalen Tyson shooting 47%. Hey, he can shoot all he wants. That's the ideal. Obviously, in an ideal world, you do not have Garland and Mitchell starting next to each other, and then Mobley needs shots. But honestly, on this specific team, I believe, but the way it is constructed, Mobley doesn't need shots.
Regardless, Donovan Mitchell, I think we both agree he's a guy who, talent-wise, can be the best player on.
So we're just saying roster-wise, it's too flawed. Even though they won so many games last year, the roster's too flawed for Mitchell to win at all.
I think so.
I still like he could legit be a 1A. He needs that 1B is the problem. Like he's not a guy like Giannis who can carry his team, because even though Middleton was great.
No, he's not Giannis. He's not Jokic.
He's not going to carry.
He's not Shea. He's not Steph. But
he could average 30 in a playoff run.
He could.
It's just that other players who average 30 do more than Mitchell does.
I feel like you need someone to the level. It's a similar Tatum-ish situation. You need that Jaylen Brown.
You need an ideal Evan Mobley. That's what you need. You do need a 20-point per game Evan Mobley. You need a 22-point per game Evan Mobley.
But honestly, I'm thinking about it. That's 20-point per game Evan Mobley's are really good players.
It is.
That's a really good player.
Efficient 22-point per game Evan Mobley. Also, because, playoff rotations should be shortened. And so Mobley should be getting, like, how many minutes is he averaging this season? He's averaging 34. Yeah, lower that to 38.
Lower it to 38.
Raise that to 38. Mobley needs to average 23, 24.
Yeah, Mobley's playing the most minutes on the team.
Because you think of like a Jaylen Brown last year who won Finals MVP.
Not last year.
I'm just saying things, aren't I? 2 years ago, Jaylen Brown won Finals MVP, and throughout the whole year, he is about a 25-point per game guy. Now, Mobley's a better defender than Jaylen Brown, so he doesn't have to be 25-point per game. But just around there, like a 22, 20. You can't be 18. You're putting up Tobias Harris numbers, like at that point. Obviously not current day Tobias, maybe like a couple years ago Tobias.
Yeah.
But that's all I have to say.
It'll be interesting. I think the East got better.
The East got better. Speaking of, let's talk about the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors have been on a heater. I will say I did not believe in them this much, but I did believe in them going to the league. I'm like, this is a guaranteed playoff team, because they just have too much talent. And the big question about this talent was, how are they going to fit together? Well, they are fitting together well, because honestly, there's not many egos on this team outside of, I will say, Brandon Ingram does still have a bit of an ego of like taking shots and just being not as much of a team player. You know how much of like a weirdo he is? Like, have you seen the videos of like he doesn't join the huddles with the Pelicans, with the Raptors? He doesn't join the huddles. He's like this weird, like, wanna be different kind of guy. But he's a hooper. I think Ingram's one of those more underrated players. I'm just speaking the truth of, like, he is kind of a weirdo. He's a weirdo that just likes to kind of get high and be by himself. And you know what? Go ahead. If you're going to give me 25 and 5, then you do it. Because that's a great stat line. But overall, Raptors have been killing it. The only player that hasn't been killing it for the Raptors, actually, it's been a couple. To be honest, if you look at the Raptors, after their top 8 players, like, there is a huge drop off where they don't have a 9th guy. So their top 5 is obviously their starters being, Quickly, RJ, Ingram, Scotty, Podol, and then they have like Murray Boyles, they have Sandro, and they have Jamal Sheed. After that, Grady Dix has had a bad season. Ochai Agbaji has not been good outside of a cool dunk from last night. Jacoby Walter, you kind of hoped would be the guy who, if Ochai Agbaji wasn't good, then Jacoby Walter would kind of step in, because they're kind of similar players. He has not been good.
The one thing I will say about Grady Dick, I know he has potential, and I know that the Raptors drafted him decently high. This is the 3rd year in a row where he's been inefficient from the field. His shooting splits, rookie year, he shot 43, 37, 86. Solid for a rookie. Last year, he shot 41, 35, 86. And this year he's shooting 41, 33, 85. So,
And you know why, right? Have you seen the photos that have gone around? Dude cares way more about the gym than being good at basketball.
He's just
Dude,
getting
his
big.
arms are like, yes, his arms are like defined. And when you have big arms like that,
yeah.
unless your name is Desmond Bain, who, by the way, hasn't even been that good this season, but in general is a great shooter, you have big arms like that, it's hard to shoot.
So
your bicep literally gets in the way of your form.
Grady Dick is supposed to be your sixth man. That's what he is in an ideal world. He's a scorer who can maybe grab some boards. He's not going to give you a ton of assists. So maybe you trade for a legit guy like that. Because Grady Dick still has the potential where teams might look at him and go, man, this is a pretty good player. I'd like to have this guy in my back pocket in case he develops. I mean, you look at the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks have a lot of guys that are connectors, right? They've got like Najee Marshall, PJ Washington's probably better than just being considered a connector, but he is still in that role of being like kind of a connective piece. Gafford and that is the one thing about the Raptors. The Raptors don't really have a backup big.
They do.
Who's their backup?
They have
big?
Sandro.
Oh, I guess Sandro is their backup big.
And he's been shooting that thing. Like that,
He has been, yeah.
Pure stretch five. I mean, I'm not sure how much else he's doing. He's getting some boards. When I watch their games, he does, get the defensive rebound. Yeah. He's not he's not a guy who gets the offensive rebound or anything. But he's been good. He's averaging 10 points per game. I didn't even know it was that high. But yeah, 57 from the field, 44 from three.
Yeah.
And then Jamal Sheed, like the shots been going in. He's an elite playmaker. He can defend. He hustles. I mean, it's just one of those Eastern Conference teams with no egos, which the Western Conference unfortunately has too many teams with too many egos. That's my opinion. Hey, because people love the West. People love the teams that, they're just too cool. They can get a bucket in any way. But like, I feel like the East teams, they care more. And it might be like, it's closer to college basketball, but it's not as bad.
And yeah, Colin Murray Boyles is just like the epitome of that. I mean, you talk about a guy coming in as a rookie, a high draft pick with no ego, just ready to try to do anything he can to help contribute to winning. That's that guy right there.
And they'll reward you for it. He's getting 19 minutes per game as a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like a ninth pick, but ninth pick isn't that high. A lot of ninth picks, or not a lot of them, but some of them just don't. They just stay in the G League the first year because the team doesn't even need Shepard. Yeah, Reed Shepard. I mean, so if you show that your team needs you, you will get the minutes. Murray Boyles is an elite defender, and he's super efficient. He's just doing everything that the Raptors need.
Yeah, I think the Raptors give it another month, but I think if they're still this good, you have to take advantage of it now. And I think Grady Dick's time is up, if that's the case, because frankly, he is the expendable piece on this roster in terms of his performance and the way he's played, and he's the piece with the most value that they could get something for. Call up the Mavericks, see if you can get a Brandon Williams or a Najee Marshall or even a PJ Washington, and add that guy to your team,
Yeah, a Najee Marshall I think would be good. They need kind of like a 2 or 3 because I like the 4 or 5 of Murray and Sandro, honestly. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't know how good Sandro was until I started watching the Raptors, and I started watching the Raptors cook my Hawks. Like we're 0-2 against them this season. They piss me off, but like I respect it because of how good they are. Especially with RJ has been great this season. Unfortunately, he got hurt recently, but he's averaging 19, and it's just efficient shots. He's not, unless like he's the only guy on the court. Like there's no Quickly or Ingram or whatever on the court. Like he'll take tough shots at them, but besides that, he just takes smart shots.
And let's shout out Scotty Barnes really quick because he's the third leading scorer on the team, but he is playing like the best player. He's averaging 19 points a game, 5 assists, 8 rebounds, almost 2 blocks, a steal and a half on 50, 40, 82 splits. So I mean,
this is what we expected Scotty Barnes to do.
I mean, maybe like more points per game is what people expected initially for him to take that jump to be like a 25 a night guy. But this seems like his perfect role, kind of. Like he doesn't have to be the main scoring threat every night, but he can do everything else that he does so like brilliantly. Honestly, Scotty Barnes is the guy you need next to Donovan if he's going to be playing like this. To go back to a topic we talked about earlier.
Honestly, I was just thinking about Mobley versus Scotty Barnes, and I was thinking that's fine. Okay, obviously, like the 2-point percentage isn't as high as Mobley's, but Scotty Barnes is handling the ball. He's not a big, like he's not. He's taking tougher shots.
He's shooting 40% from 3.
It's 40% from 3. It's way more attempts. And then, okay, 19 points per game, but also it's coming with 5 assists. I think this is like the perfect role for Scotty Barnes. I don't even want him to do much more because
No.
Ingram should be that number one scoring guy. If you need a bucket, you go to Ingram. I mean, he's just that nice. He knows how to get to his spots.
Yeah, you look at they have their very defined roles. Quickly's the point guard, Ingram's the bucket, Barrett is the secondary, and Scotty Barnes is kind of the utility tool. Like
Scotty Barnes, you just gotta be like the Draymond Green that can actually. It's a threat to score.
That's what I actually love about this team. The more I watch them, is you look at teams where they have so much talent. And this is my worry about the Raptors. You often get situations where guys take shots away from each other, but it doesn't feel like anyone's stepping on each other's toes here. Everyone's just doing their thing and they're in their role and they're contributing every possession for the most part, right? And that is a very significant thing because there's a lot of talent there. There's a lot of potential for ego, and there's a lot of guys there that want shots.
You talk about a team that needs a bunch of guys that need shots. Ingram needs shots.
But somehow
Barnes needs shots. RJ needs shots.
Quickly needs shots. Grady Dick needs shots.
Shit, Sandro needs shots. If he's on the court, he needs to take shots.
But I mean, it is just so interesting how this works so much better than what the Cavs have going on a team level, because the Cavs have more talent, and I think that allows them to get away with a lot in terms of execution.
But this is also a situation where, because there's no egos, or it's just a good coach that will bench you if you're playing bad, there's a bunch of guys on the Raptors who are not playing good that need shots. Grady Dick, you said Grady Dick needs shots. Agbaji needs shots if he's on the court. Yeah. And then Jacoby Walter needs shots if he's on the court. Yeah. And you know what? Is it Darko? Is that the coach? Or who's the...
Is it Dark? Who is it?
I don't think they fired the coach or anything.
No, he's the same coach they've always had. Or not always had, but have had for the last couple of years.
That dude has said, hey, I know that all 3 of you guys were lottery picks. I'm not going to play you if you're not playing up to...
It is Darko.
I'm not going to play you if you're not playing great. That's what I love. I honestly do, like... I mean, I don't want to take it back to the Cavs, so I won't. The Raptors coaching has been amazing. Yeah.
And this is one thing that really impresses me. They're 5th lowest in the NBA in turnovers per game without a true singular point guard. Quickly is like the kind of de facto point guard, but he's more just the ball handler. He's a combo. Nobody on the team averages more than 3 turnovers per game, which is incredibly impressive. And you look at the other teams in the top 5, Boston Celtics have the fewest turnovers per game at 11, which is kind of crazy, actually.
Wow.
Oklahoma City is 2nd, which makes a lot of sense. New York is 3rd. Denver is 4th, and then the Raptors are 5th. So for 3 of these other teams, you have one guy who's very ball dominant and heliocentric and has the ball in his hands a lot, right? That like kind of elite playmaker point guard, and the Raptors don't have that. They're more similar to, these teams like the Dallas Mavericks, who rank 3rd in the NBA in most turnovers per game.
Name the 5 teams again.
5 teams are the Celtics, Thunder, Knicks, Nuggets, Raptors. Those are the 5 lowest teams in the NBA in terms of turnovers per game.
So, I mean, besides obviously the Thunder, who are the best defense in the league, yeah, the Raptors out of those 5 teams are the highest defense, though. It's like the fact that you have all these defending kind of people who aren't turning it over.
You're not turning the ball over. I mean, which is a big thing for a young team, too. They're taking care of the ball. I look at the Raptors and I just see a team with a lot of guys who, even though you say Ingram's like kind of a weirdo, a lot of guys that don't have an ego, like genuinely. Like I have not, and maybe that'll pop up later as they get more success, but it's a very Toronto team. You know, like it's a team that just plays well together. That is imperfect actually in a lot of ways. I mean, looking at this roster, it's like, damn, they really could shore up some of these like later spots in their rotation, but they're winning and they're playing really good at that.
I am just hoping, because it is a perfect fit on this bench rotation. I do hope Grady Dick turns it around because, well, as a Hawks fan, I honestly really don't. But like in general, just me loving basketball, I'm like, if Grady Dick, they do need that like 6th man scorer kind of guy. Yeah. I know that obviously if you want, you can, after like 3 or 4 minutes, bench RJ and then have RJ come in with the bench, and now he's the go-to guy. But you do want like a sharpshooter off the bench.
I think Grady Dick is the right mold for the guy that they need.
He just needs to hit. He just
needs to play better.
Just play better. Which we've seen it. We've seen spurts. I mean, I don't want to be the guy who who gasses spurts because I mean Jalen Green has spurts of averaging 30, and we always think he could be a star. But but Grady Dick really could be a consistent guy,
especially for what he's being asked to do. He's not asked to be a star. He's not asked to be even the third option. He's just asked to be their sixth man. And that's it. You know? But yeah, Toronto's really good. I've had a lot of fun watching them this year. I appreciate the guy who commented on our last video. It was good talks. Just bringing up some points about the Raptors and where they've got them, or where I had them in my power rankings last week. Keep doing that, guys. I mean, I do. I think me and Corby both really like just talking to people about sports, and it is fun. Even when y'all like disagree with us and call us stupid, it's like, well, now I gotta defend my argument. Now I gotta come up with like a good reason for why I said this.
Yeah.
It's fun. Y'all get us thinking. It's a good time. But
we love proving each other wrong. So yeah.
I don't have to try that hard because he's wrong so often.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the Los Angeles Clippers. The Los Angeles Clippers have been absolutely terrible to start the season. I had predicted them before the season to be the number 3 seed in the Western Conference. I'm going to go ahead and take that. They're not going to be the number 3 seed or 2 or 1 seed in the Western Conference. There's still a lot of time left in the season, but yeah, it's pretty much just been James Harden and friends. Kawhi Leonard he's missed more games than he's played. I'm like pretty sure about that. Even when Kawhi was playing, they weren't winning too many games. Guys like Bogdan, who were good last year, Bogdan has been awful this season. Zubac hasn't been good. Even Tyronn Lue said that Bradley Beal should be the better player than Zubac, which is crazy because Zubac was like a near all-star last season. So the fact that his own coach doesn't believe in him that much just goes to show how terrible the organization, what the organization is going through. Mm-hmm. They don't have their pick next year. That belongs, or for the next lottery, that belongs to the OKC Thunder. So every NBA fan is rooting for the Clippers so that the Thunder don't become a literal dynasty,
right? Even
if they're not already a super dynasty, I guess.
They're going to turn into the Celtics from like the 60s. Like,
I hope not. The Clippers they're like the oldest team in the NBA. They don't have much to look forward to. What is next for the Clippers, Cam?
What's next for most of the Clippers is the retirement home. Obviously the oldest roster in the NBA. Chris Paul has already announced his retirement. I think for the Clippers as an organization, it's just getting as much value out of these pieces as you can while you can, because it's undeniable that there's talent on this team. You have Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, Ivica Zubac. You have lots of guys that are talented. Even John Collins is a piece who holds some value. But they're just not doing anything on the Clippers right now. Number one, they're not healthy enough to be on the court all at the same time. And even when they are on the court all at the same time, the chemistry doesn't look great. So I know we all want the Clippers to win this year because, God forbid, OKC gets the number 1 pick. But if you're the Clippers, do you really care? I mean, it's like you have to look out for yourself. I don't want this to happen because I don't want OKC to get the first pick. But if I was the Clippers, if I was Steve Ballmer, if I was the Clippers GM, I would go, we're immediately taking calls on James Harden. We're immediately taking calls on Kawhi Leonard. We're immediately taking calls on Ivica Zubac. And we are getting everything we can to try to rebuild our future right here, right now, and hope that we can do this in the draft. Because if we wait and we continue to wait and we try to be competitive, these guys are going to be too old to trade and get value out of. And they're either going to leave in free agency or we're going to get a very minimal return for them. And then they're going to be in a really bad situation with the lack of picks that they have in the next few years.
That's an interesting idea. James Harden has a player option this upcoming season or this upcoming offseason.
That's why you trade him.
He will most likely decline it, so that maybe that's why you trade him. But what's the risk versus return? Because the risk or the return of not trading James Harden is the potential of him re-signing and then you guys or the Clippers still continuing to win. Because if you look at the future of the Clippers draft picks, next year, OKC has the right to swap. OKC will be a bottom 5 pick next year. So no matter what the Clippers do next year, how good or bad they are, they will have a bottom 5 pick.
Which is why I'm not saying you need to trade for picks, but you need to trade for assets, young players, guys that you can do something with. Shit, John Collins for Grady Dick, and maybe another piece from the Raptors, and maybe a pick or something like that. You need youth.
I just unfortunately think that these teams Well, how much value? Okay, so because Harden can have value, but Harden is like a huge piece to trade. That's a big decision. Obviously, you're saying that they should tank. That they should, but like a John Collins, are you really getting anything for John Collins, who's expiring, who's making 26
I mean,
million?
if the Raptors are competitive and the Raptors truly believe they're a championship team, I think you could get Grady Dick and maybe another player, even a second round pick, which is something.
But I think the problem is these Clippers players aren't good. No one wants these Clippers. No one wants John Collins. John Collins, as like kind of efficient as he is, he's shooting 48% from the field, even though he's a guy who's mainly a roller. He's not shooting good from three. He's slow-footed on defense. What kind of team needs John Collins? Don't say the Raptors. Do you truly believe the Raptors need John Collins? Do you think John Collins would elevate them?
No.
What? No.
No.
So unless you're depending on the Raptors to be stupid, respectfully to any Clippers fans watching this, if there's ever going to be a team that you assume is going to be stupid on one side of a trade, it's going to be the Clippers.
The reason that you bring that up, so I want to bring this up, the reason we actually decided to talk about this is because there was a report that came out that the Clippers are interested in DeMar DeRozan. If the Clippers trade for DeMar DeRozan, they need to be annexed from the rest of the league, and they need to be sent to an island to play basketball. Okay? Because if that is the worst possible thing, have they not learned from their mistakes that if they continue to go deeper into this, they're just going to continue to dig themselves into this hole? You're going to have James Harden, Chris Paul, Kawhi Leonard, DeMar DeRozan on the same roster. By the way, Chris Paul isn't even getting minutes, so he's basically just on his retirement tour already.
Yeah, he is. I wonder what contract DeMar is under. I don't even remember him. I'm looking at it right now.
I feel like he's making a decent amount of money. I feel like he's making close to $40 million.
Oh no, he's making $25 million this year.
Oh really?
And then $26 million next year, and that's it for him.
That's not a bad
that's a good contract.
But who do you even trade for him? Who do you have that the Kings want?
Honestly, that would be more of a John Collins team, is the thing. Him next to Sabonis. I mean, the defense would not be great.
I don't want the Kings and the Clippers making trades, man. Just two ass teams trying to hold on to something that doesn't exist. Like, I don't want to see that.
The problem with the DeMar DeRozan thing that I have with you saying it is, no, not specifically with you, but like what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you saying it? No,
yeah.
no, but like what you're saying is, honestly, with Beal being hurt, the idea of Beal was fine. Of like they kind of do need a third bucket. They have no one on this team that can get a bucket for themselves. Like no one. The only people are obviously James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, but Kawhi Leonard isn't healthy enough. And then it's the only other two are Chris Paul and Bogdan. And Bogdan sucks. And Chris Paul is too old.
So,
because I want to see where they're ranked in the league.
Do you trade?
Offensively, the Clippers,
the Celtics need a center. So they need a center for next year. Do you trade Zubac and try to get someone like Simons or Pritchard?
I think you do. It's just that I don't think they have any. They don't have anything the Celtics want. The Celtics are doing fine for themselves.
Zubac, because they need a center.
Oh, Zubac. Then you play your young guy, whatever his name is. But yeah, the Clippers are the 21st offense. It's actually not as bad as I thought. They're probably pretty bad defensively. 25th, yeah. They need both. They need anything. They honestly just, they need
Which
to
is
get
why
younger.
they should be tanking, but they put themselves in such a poor position with these picks that they can't tank.
Honestly, if you got Pritchard, a Pritchard for Zubac swap wouldn't be bad at all. I'm trying to think. As long as the Celtics are fine with an Anthony Simons still. Because personally, I'm picking Pritchard over Simons. But if it gets you Zubac, that would be the best, one of the best bigs you can get in the market. So, that wouldn't be bad if it did work out, unless the Celtics were just fine where they're at. It's hard because they seriously, like, it's not like they can blow it up.
Okay.
You can blow it up, but how are you going to blow? We're watching right now what it looks like for the Pelicans to not have their own draft pick and suck. They have Derek Queen at least.
Corby, this is like the next 4 years of the Clippers, by the way. Like that we're talking about with like the Pelicans sucking and not having their pick. That's just the Clippers for the next
Oh, they don't have 28 either?
No.
And then 29, Philly has the right to swap.
Corby, they don't have 26. 27, OKC has the right to swap. 29, Philly has the right to swap. They don't have their own first round pick until 2030 unless they trade for it.
Yeah. The only saving grace is the fact that it's actually top 5 protected in 2027.
Which maybe, honestly,
You take and hope. Imagine taking the whole year and then.
but that's why you just get it going now, honestly. Because you have to hope that you're a bottom team next year to get that pick. So that's why you just kick it off now and get as much value as you can out of these assets.
So you want to trade James Harden? Are you also trading Kawhi Leonard?
Yes.
So you're telling me that Steve Ballmer just spent all this money on this new arena so that we can watch Jordan. What are these guys even? What are their names? What are these young guys' names? Let me look at it. I couldn't even tell you top of my
I'm
head.
not concerned with the finances.
Kobe
and
Brown, Jordan Miller.
Look, I can't speak to the finances. I'm not speaking on this from a businessman perspective. I think they should put the best basketball product on the court, and I think they should put the basketball product on the court that puts them in the best position for their future. And right now, that is a team that is bad and guarantees you a top 5 pick next year. You need to be bad enough to guarantee. You need to literally be the worst team in the NBA so you can guarantee that you're a top 5 pick. Like, you need that.
The absolute worst.
You're the absolute worst. You need to guarantee that you have a top 5 pick next year, because if you don't, oh no. Wait, okay. OKC has the right to swap its 2027 first round pick, or if conveyed to OKC, Denver's 2027 first round pick, protected for selections 1 through 5 for the LA's 27 first round pick.
That's too many words.
Corby,
What?
their pick isn't protected.
It's not?
No, it's okay. Or Denver's is protected. So OKC can swap with LA, or if Denver's pick is better than LA's pick, they can swap LA's for Denver's. So basically, LA gets the worst of the 3 picks, and Denver gets the second. Like, depending.
Wait, what's the protection then? I don't really.
So Denver's first round pick that OKC could swap for is 1 through 5 protected.
Oh, okay.
So let's say the Clippers pick was 8 and Denver's was 6 for some reason, right? Then they could swap for Denver's pick.
OKC could.
OKC could. They could swap LA's
But
for
the Clippers
Denver's.
would still get that bottom
But the
5
Clippers
pick.
still get OKC's pick. So the Clippers pick is not top 5 protected.
So
yeah, now you
you can't. You
You can't. You almost have to like desperately call up OKC and try to get your pick back and give up like whatever it takes and just fuck the rest of the league over.
It might have to be both, and the salaries won't match up. It might have to be both Harden and Kawhi to get that pick back. That pick. I mean, then again, the Clippers aren't like, okay, so right now, what are they, like around 7th for the worst team? It's not like that pick is worth literally everything.
But Corby, they're just going to get older next year. They don't know if they're going to have Harden because he's got that player option. The way he's playing right now, he could probably decline it and get a pretty good payday. So,
do you remember how last week we were talking about how the Pelicans are like the filler episode of the NBA? The Clippers aren't the filler episode.
they're the running gag.
They are.
They're literally
gag.
like the joke character that shows up and gets shit on like once a season. Like, it's like the cabbage guy from Avatar: The Last Airbender, or like
I actually don't know that reference. So
he's just like he's like a cabbage salesman, and once like a season, his cabbages get like fucking annihilated.
damn.
Yeah, so
I'd honestly say they're kind of like, because I don't know how much Pokemon you know. They're kind of Team Rocket. They kind of like they kind of just lose every time.
Yeah.
they go blasting off again at the end of every season. We're blasting off again.
oh, dude, they are.
But like, yeah, they're not a filler episode.
No, they're very much there.
They're in the plot.
They're in the plot. They're just not. Yeah, dude. Yeah, they
like, there's no solution. Yeah,
blow it up.
If they blow it up, I guess they get some picks back, and that would be great. It's just, can they somehow blow it up and still win games? Tyronn Lue is a good enough coach where maybe they still do win a little bit of games. It doesn't matter. That's crazy. They live in a world where it doesn't matter if they win or lose games for like 3 years. It's one thing for the Pelicans. It's 1 year. For 3 years, they're going to be bad. Because there's no, unless, I mean, okay, but here's the alternative solution.
Corby, we might have to do a Clippers rebuild.
Dude, we might.
This is impossible. This is like, how do you win?
The alternate solution is honestly doing the opposite and just you keep building through free agency again and again and again. I mean,
Corby, they might not even have like they might have 1 second-round pick because they have Memphis's, but it's protected 31 through 42. So if Memphis is bad, then they don't even get Memphis's second-round pick. And there's some sort of
Man,
crazy,
they're wasting. They have Zubac for 19-20 million a year for the next two years after this.
That's why he's the piece you trade, because he's manageable on his contract, and you can hopefully. I mean, Philly has the right.
They have Derek Jones Jr. for 11 million a year. He's a good player.
Yeah, the Philly pick is the Philly swap is protected 1 through 3 in 2029,
and that's 1 through 3.
But they literally, like, they have to be good enough in 2027 that they're not a top 5. No, it doesn't matter because they're still going to get OKC's pick. They're not going to have a high pick until probably 2030, and most likely, unless they trade for one.
That's a long time, but we're not even in 2026. Technically, like year wise, yeah. That's absolutely insane.
They bet their future on this, like this whole. Wow, yeah.
Like a realistic Clippers rebuild might actually take 10-15 years.
Like real time, not sim time. Like real time, it might take 10 to 15 years to figure out how to fix this, because like what the hell?
21-32, yeah, acting crazy. Honestly, I don't have any solutions. That's kind of all I wanted to say. Honestly.
Yep, Clippers.
Luckily, they have so many team contracts. They can decline Bogdan for 16 million. They can decline Brook Lopez for 9 million. Decline Batum for 6 million. 6 million is like cheap enough.
They've got to go on a run to end this year. Honestly, is their only hope of holding some sort of hope for the future of like we can be competitive.
Because everyone's gonna leave this team. They only have like 5 contracts.
Corey, all this shit about their brand new stadium. They're 18th in attendance. So the Clippers, in my opinion, need to blow it up. In your opinion, what do they need to do? Just ride it out?
I think they just ride it out. I think you just go all in. You sign some more free agents like the Clippers always do. You be a little better than mediocre, just like every year except this year. And then, I don't know. Because I really do think that trying a rebuild is just wasting time.
Yeah.
Because then it's just going to be like a 7-year rebuild instead of like they can make it a 3 or 4 year one, like Thunder did.
I think they're done. I think they need to just blow it all up. Anyway, tell us what you think about the Clippers if you made it to this point in the video. Also, if you made it to this point, maybe you like what we're saying. Maybe you want to hear more of it. Like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help us a lot. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.